So today, June 11th, there's this passage from Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 18 through 20. And, God is here sort of forming his people and creating systems and structures to guide them as those who were in relationship, in covenant agreement with Yahweh. And here in Deuteronomy 16, verses 18 through 20, it reads, "Appoint judges and officials for each of your tribes in every town the Lord your God is giving you, and they shall judge the people fairly. Do not pervert justice or show partiality. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the innocent. Follow justice and justice alone, so that you may live and possess the land the Lord your God is giving you." So a few things that I just noticed this morning. First, authority is a good thing, right? There's this idea of people in a position of authority to govern and guide the people. So authority is a good thing. But second, it should be clarified that just authority is a good thing. Authority that's just and good that's a good thing. Because right after it says appoint judges and officials, but they should govern fairly. There's justice should define the ways in which they rule and lead. And then third, there's this acknowledgement that justice leads to life and flourishing, right? Follow justice and justice alone, so that you may live and possess the land the Lord your God is giving you. And so there's this, we see that justice is, there's a close relationship between justice and life and flourishing. And I think what's helpful for us to acknowledge is that, those of us who are Christians, that we're defined by the ways in which we've been reconciled to God through Jesus. We are not under the yoke of a law that says we have to do these things in order for God to love us. We're defined by grace. We experience the reconciliation that God offers through Jesus and his life, death, and resurrection, and the atoning sacrifice he made on behalf of us, and all that. That defines who we are. But it's also helpful to acknowledge that Jesus is the continuation of the story of Israel. That Jesus, he himself put it best, where he says, "I didn't come to abolish the law; I came to fulfill it." And so I think there can be a danger sometimes that because we're defined by grace, that we look at the Hebrew scriptures, we look at the Old Testament, and we say, well, that has no binding on us, that has no relevance to us here today, that has no connectivity to who we are as those defined in Jesus. And I think that's a gross misunderstanding of what Jesus has done, that Jesus is the fulfillment of this law, that Jesus embodies the law and the prophets better than anyone, that and that on top of that, what we see in passages like this is we see a glimpse into who God is and who God longs for us to be, and that as God was establishing his people, order and justice and authority were good things, and they lead to life and flourishing. And so I think the grace that we receive is an opportunity for us to be transformed and changed into a group of people that see the ways in which, so anyways, this, I think there's this acknowledgement that the grace that God offers us is an opportunity for us to be changed by that grace, to seek to have our lives shaped by the God who encourages authority and just authority. And as we see that Jesus sort of summarizes the law and the prophets by saying, love the Lord your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, love your neighbor as yourself. And then, in John's gospel, he offers a new command where he says, love one another as I have loved you. So you should love one another. And then he talks about offering his life for others. And I think that's a conversation that we as the church need to start having a lot more, concerning this topic of how do we move forward to embody greater justice in our society. How might we be willing to sacrifice our own lives in a way that can bring life to other people? What sort of privilege and power and resources might we be willing to sacrifice for the sake of empowering and equipping and supporting people who historically have been on the margins? And I think for me, to fall into the trap of saying, well, it's either grace or it's the law, to say that, it's just either love or it's justice. Those are false dichotomies. It's all of it. It's all of it, quite simply. And I think Cornel West puts it brilliantly, as he does so often. He says, never forget that justice is what love looks like in public. Never forget that justice is what love looks like in public. So what a great reminder that the justice we seek together is not a dismissal of God's grace. It is an acceptance of it, and a desire to share that on not just a personal level, but a broader public level. That justice is what love looks like in public. Amen.